This is Michael David Cobb Bone for Cobb Vision, with a good haircut but a bad shave. Talking about post-racial America in the context of Henry Louis Gates Jr.'s arrest for disorderly behavior. And one of the things that is interesting, I came across an opinion piece by John McWhorter, a person I admire and respect, who said we cannot call Gates a drama queen until we address certain things, and he lays out a certain number of things. And he goes back to Ellis Coast's Rage of a Privileged Class, which was written in the early 90s, a book that I thought was fairly significant at the time. And I think one of the main point of this little missive that I want to get out there today is the psychological component of what racial sensitivity is, which is to say, I defend Gates as a bougie Harvard snob. I like that he is one, and I think certain people have recognized the difference between himself and someone like Derek Bell I forget the Cornel West. I'm sorry, but anyway, my point is that if you take the goal of a post-racial society as a realistic goal, then you are establishing a zero-tolerance policy in America. And I think people who tend to do that also tend to recognize the danger of a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to the war on drugs. And I think, quite frankly, we all know people on a simpler level who have varying tolerance to alcohol. And there are certain people for whom 2 drinks is a deadly combination, and there are people for whom 5 drinks is an ordinary meal. And I think we also need to recognize, even as we are making these grandiose statements about what race in America should mean, that the 38 million African Americans all have different and varying tolerances for racism, for sin, for education, for any number of things. And if we make the Gates standard of offense the American standard, well, then I think, yes, we will probably be in a post-racial society. But I think it is unrealistic to consider that at any length, because what happens in trying to establish that level of zero tolerance is that you restrict freedom, you restrict liberty to an extent which is obviously maybe perhaps not in this case, but it can be seen in various police departments as corrosive of their ability to do their job, which is to say, pushing as Gates would have us push for a First Amendment right to yell back at cops, and some right or privilege not to be arrested for disorderly conduct on one's own front porch, no matter how many police officers would testify that an officer was within his judgment, etc., because of the sensitivity that we're supposed to have for race relations. If you keep going down that road, you get into a point where the cure is worse than the disease. And I think, just in general, it is simply unfair to assert that 6 pounds of racism, whatever that might be, is going to be the standard, because no matter how much that is, there are some people for whom 6 pounds of racism is going to rock and destroy their world, and perhaps Skip Gates is one of those people who will not sleep well for the next year. And there are other people who eat 6 pounds of racism for breakfast every day, like, I don't know, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Michael Vick. And I'm not suggesting that one's ability or inability is preferable. And I probably gave bad examples. I mean, I'm one of those people who just, I suppose, the writer of The Invisible Man Ellison that there's a certain amount of racism that just doesn't bother me because I don't see myself as psychologically weak as a black man. You can call me these names, but I've transcended in some way the ability of certain insults to actually insult me. I don't give permission. It doesn't apply to me. I don't think of myself that way, and I can't be victimized so easily. So that's probably one of the reasons my perspective might sound harsh, because again, I'm just another individual with my own tolerances for racism and my own perspective on how damaging racism is to the fabric of American life. But my point is finally then just to say that you cannot put Gates, of all people, as a reasonable standard of offense unless you are willing to take on a zero tolerance policy for something as evil and vile and pernicious as racism. But I cannot see if A is A and truth is truth, how anybody could possibly consider all the most vile racism in America as holding a candle in moral standing to the question of abortion. This is Michael David Cobb Bowen for Cobb Vision.